Thursday. Ooh, it's going to be a hot Thursday here up in Canada South. High of around 80 today. Currently 56 with 77% chance of rain. So it's pretty much going to rain today. Chance of thunderstorms, and the moon is a waxing gibbous still. So coming up on a full moon. So we are in a study of Job, and we're in Job chapter 40. Job chapter 40. And the Lord said to Job, "Shall a fault finder contend with the Almighty?" Now, a fault finder is somebody who looks for cause, right? It's the plaintiff. This is a courtroom term. So it's the plaintiff, somebody who conducts it. He who argues with God, let him answer it. So if you find yourself in a position where you want to argue with God, um, you will, right, find yourself in a position where you have to answer it. So God challenged Job to present his evidence, right? Job wanted his day with God, remember, and he wanted to plead his case. And now, right, because he wasn't pleading as if he was the defendant. He was acting as if he's the plaintiff, the fault finder, excuse me. Yeah, when I go live, I pretty much have to blow my nose in public, so it's a little different. Um, I have to present this case, right? And so, can you ever be right enough or in the right enough to uh, plead your case with God? Yeah, that's a tough place to be. And look how Job answers. Then Job answered the Lord and said, "Behold, I am of small account. What shall I answer you? I lay my hand on my mouth." I can't believe I find myself where I have to answer God. Right? If you recall in 29 verse 9, the princes covered their mouth when they saw him. Right? They were like, it's it like takes your breath away when you actually have to speak to God. uh, thank you, CB. Thank you. Bless you too, brother. I appreciate it. Um, I have spoken once, and I will not answer twice, but I will proceed no further. So he admits, like, all right, I spoke out and against God 2 times and called it called him to court, but now I'm not going to speak anymore. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, "Dress for action." And another rendering would be gird up your loins. Do animals have souls? Uh, Not the same way we do. They have life, yes, but they don't have uh, cognitive reasoning souls. No, they are basically um, stuck in the laws of behaviorism, right? Just they work off of instinct, so reinforcement and punishment, right? They either act to get something or act to get away from something, and whether that goes into fight or flight, whatever, boom, have ghosts. I mean, nah, man. No, there, there's no ghosts. There's no plants don't have souls. No, there's no reincarnation coming back as a tree. No, um, uh, now humans humans have souls, and humans there is divination, which nobody should do. God speaks on that. So you can talk to the dead. It is possible, um, but we're not to pray to dead people, or um, it's that those are kind of witchcrafty type um, behaviors, and certainly not something we ought to do. Um, Then he says, dress for action. So gird up your loins. He says, dress for action like a man. All right, man. You want to question me? Let's go. Like, you better come correct. So if you're going to come at God, you better come correct. He says, dress like a man. I will question you, and you will make it known to me. Ouch. So now God is placing himself as the fault finder, as the plaintiff. He reversed the roles, and I hate it when he does that to me, man. I hate it when he reverse the roles. Pretty sure ghosts are just ghosts of cats. That's why they are always knocking things down. All right. Have you an arm like God, and can you thunder with a voice like his? Nope, I definitely can't. And I do all my push-ups and everything, and I feel like I'm strong and all that. I don't have an arm like God. No way. He says, adorn yourself with majesty and dignity, clothe yourself with glory and splendor. So, are you built? Are you built for or strong enough to do God's job, to be God? I'm not. I'm not. And how many times do I think I am? Walking around believing like, I've got it. Oh, Chris, you got this. Or, when something goes wrong, Chris, how you gonna do this? What you gonna do about that? As if I have really any control, right? Like, I'm not God, right? I think, we adorn ourselves with splendor all the time, right? But is it the splendor of God? No, it's definitely not. And so he's asking Job, are you built for this? Are you strong enough to do what I do? He says, give it a try, right? Give it a try. You think you could do it? Give it a try. Then he says, um, pour out the overflowings of your anger and look on everyone who is proud and abase him. So here's the challenge from 11 through 13, and this is part of his job description too, right? When Genesis 6:5, when God looked on us, right, he saw the intentions of the thoughts of our heart were evil always, right? And he repented, and he was hurt by making us, right? So when we act in sin, and we act like we can replace God, right, it angers him. It angers him. And part of his job is to um, make judgments and apply justice, right? And so look what happens to Job's friends when they start making these judgments. They rise up. They become proud. They start to boast and boast in their position and their stature and in their living and in their accusations against Job. And they get that swelled head. Could you do this and not get a swelled head? Can you pour out the overflowings of your anger and look on everyone who is proud and abase them? Can you put the proud down and not get a swelled head? Look on everyone who is proud and bring him low and tread down the wicked where they stand. Could you do that and not get a swelled head? Hide them in all the dust together, bind their faces in the world below. How would you become? What would that do to your person? Right? What would that do to your soul? Never knows best, right? What would that do? You would be grandiose, right? It would change who you are, but it does not change God. That's what makes him righteous, and that's the difference between God and us. Hey Isaac, how are you, buddy? How are you? Um, then I will also acknowledge to you that your own right hand can save you. See, when you can do all that, right, then he will acknowledge to God, your own right hand can save you. But nobody's own right hand can save them. Only God's right hand can save us, right? It's nothing we can do. Go ahead, Isaac, shoot your question. So then God says, behold the behemoth, right? And the behemoth, he's a large animal. Are you Christian? Like my grandma. I don't know about like your grandma, but yes, I am a Christian. Uh, and behold, a behemoth, right? So it's a large animal. Now, this description, see, the thing about poetic books is um, sometimes they become, you have to spiritualize it, but you also have to take things for what they mean too, right? So this behemoth, this large animal, um, I think, this is me, I think it's a reference to the power of a dinosaur. If you listen to the description here, behold, um, which I made as I made you, he eats grass like an ox. Behold, his strength in his loins, so his in his belly, but also his power in the muscle of his belly, right? So the power to eat and the power to destroy is it's unsatiated, right? He continuously eats. He does it's all instinctive. If there's grass there, he's going to eat. That's the difference between a person and then back to the question about souls. Okay, um, it's insatiable. He makes his tail stiff like cedar, and the sinews of his thighs are knit together. His bones are tubes of bronze, his limbs like bars of iron. Right? His tail is huge. Right? His tail is huge. His thighs are and sinew are muscular, and he's knit and built. Right? This is no, one commentary says they think it's a hippopotamus. Okay, I don't know. I think this is the vision and the point he's trying to make is much bigger than a hippopotamus. Okay, um, my contention is this is a description of the power and destruction of something much more bigger than a hippopotamus, right? And if this is to be a parallel or a metaphor or imagery of death, um, which I also think it is, it's much bigger than a hippopotamus. Okay. Then and look, for his bones are tubes of bronze, his limbs are bars of iron. His uh, he is the first of the work of God, right? Um, and the creeping things, lizards, the land animals, they were all made on the sixth day before humans. So he's saying, I made them first before I made you. Let him who made him bring near his sword. Oh, man. So, Job, did you create all these things? Did you create death? Right? Do you control death? If you did, bring him his sword. He didn't. God did. So God can bring death his sword, see? But notice Job is still alive. Job is still alive. He did not bring death upon Job. He did not let Satan end Job's life. He let all this stuff happen to Job, but he did not end his life. And just as big as death is, like a dinosaur, God is bigger than that, and God controls that, and God gives him the power, death the power, the dinosaur the power to kill, to eat, to destroy, to devour, to take it all. He says, for the mountains yield food for him, where all the wild beasts play. Wild beasts are this animal's food, right? He so he eats it everything. He eats all the grass. He eats on top of the mountain where the wild beasts play. He eats their habitat. Okay? Nothing nothing can tame this animal. Nothing can tame death but God, right? Under the lotus tree he lies in the shelter of the reeds and in the marsh. For his shade the lotus trees cover him. The willows of the brook surround him. I love fishing, and like the weeping willow tree, it is this huge, beautiful tree, and it overhangs over the water, right? Almost as if it's coming out of the water, but its roots are on the ground, right? And it casts this huge shadow over the river, and you can cast under it and usually, like, especially in the river, you can usually pluck a trout or two out from under that shadow, right? um, That magnificence of that tree is where this animal goes for shade. Um, Behold, if the river is turbulent, he is not frightened. You know, whatever's going on, this death is not frightened by the storm, right? We ought to be frightened by the storm. It should snap us out of it. This animal, he continues in carrying out um, his existence through instinct to devour, right? To devour. So going back to, do animals have souls? No, no. They're built off instinct, and they do what they do. They devour, and nothing steers them away from it. We we have souls. We have this ability to cognize. So when God makes this turbulence happen, we turn, we change, we do something different. We repent. We repent. Okay. Um, he is confident though Jordan rushes against his mouth. Can can one take him by his eyes, or pierce his nose with a snare? Who can tame death? Nobody but God. Who's gonna tame a dinosaur? Nobody but God. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day. We only got two more chapters of Job, and then we're gonna do some New Testament thing. Uh, and you guys, Job is, to me, I think, the hardest book to get a firm handle, a grasp on, and to understand with all the imagery and metaphor and the literal interpretations of all this stuff. Um, the writing is so profound. It's a a literary. I mean, it's genius. It's genius. All right, only God could write this. Only God. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day.